Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new, and welcome to day 11 of the 25 Days of Planner Tips collab. This collab is hosted every year by Tamra over at the Paper and Pen Girl, and I am excited to be here today and to be a part of it. So if you don't know what's happening, well, for 25 days of December, there will be a different planner or content creator or YouTuber sharing planner tips that will either help you in getting started with planning tips that help them to get started with planning, tips about planning that has helped to change their lives, etc., etc. So each day you can look forward to new tips from a new planner. I will have information about everyone who has gone before me linked down in the description box, as well as information about everyone who is going to go after me. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy this ride, or have been enjoying this ride. Today we're going to be talking about none other than budget planning. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into today's video. Okay, so I want to tell you guys, some things that I've never shared with you guys regarding budget planning, or tell a story that I've never told, or tell a story in a way in which I've never told it. It won't be long because I do want to spend the vast majority of today's time talking about actual budget planning tips to help you to get started on your journey. But I would be remiss in telling this story without throwing it back maybe like 5.5, 6 years ago. In late 2016, at the end of 2016, my husband and I got married, and we knew that we were going to be the couple to have shared finances, meaning that because we had shared financial goals and our financial goals have always been the same, it really just made sense to view finances from a holistic approach rather than me trying to meet financial goals and my husband trying to meet his own financial goals when our goals were exactly the same, and we could have much more success, or we presumed we would have much more success by going about this whole financial journey thing together. So in 2017, I actually rediscovered YouTube, and I discovered it actually early 2017 because I learned that there were people on YouTube who were talking about things that were actually relevant. I used to watch YouTube back in the day, and I thought people just got on there to sing or dance or do whatever they needed to do to showcase whatever skill they had to get found or to get a record deal or whatever the case was. I did not know that there were people like me who have virtually no real talent in that way who would find themselves on YouTube, or who would be on YouTube talking about actual stuff that might be helpful to people. So I learned how to do makeup on YouTube in 2017, and then one day after getting married and after starting this journey in 2017, I thought, let's see what else is out there. Like, I wonder if there's anybody talking about finances out there. And there were. Now, there weren't many financial educators out there. However, there were some folks out there sharing their different methods for budgeting and managing their finances, and they were using paper planners. Now, I've always been that type A person. I just learned what that term is, but apparently it's me. I've always been that person who has been into planning and organizing and like that whole thing. So I've always used an agenda. I've always used a planner. I've also always been a crafter, and I've always journaled and scrapbooked and all of that kind of stuff. So it wasn't new to me to be introduced to a form of planning, but it never even occurred to me that I might use a physical planner or a physical product, which is something that I've always loved anyway, to actually organize finances. I don't know why it never really occurred to me, but it never had. Prior to discovering budget planning, I really just used my paper planner for penciling in appointments, meetings, maybe some of my daily to-dos, birthdays. That was pretty much the extent of it. It never occurred to me that I might use a similar tool, or create a similar tool, or use that same tool to plan anything beyond what I was already planning. So I was just scrolling YouTube one day, and I saw someone using an actual budget planner to manage their finances. My mind was blown, and I then went on to essentially replicate that style of planning. I didn't create exactly what other people had created, but essentially I drew inspiration from them, and I went on to buy myself or create myself a budget planner. So I went into Michael's one day. I didn't even know Michael sold planners. I didn't know Hobby Lobby sold planners. I didn't know Staples sold planners. I just usually would go to Target and get whatever planner they had. I didn't even know, and that was the thing. That was the whole issue, is that Target didn't have budget planners back then. They probably still don't. So I didn't even know that, and I never ordered a planner, so I didn't even know that a budget planner existed. Now, back in the day, back when I got started in 2017, there actually weren't many budget planners, but I did create myself a budget planner. My very first YouTube video, which I released in 2017, is about that budget planner that I created. So check it out if you're interested. Fortunately, I've been on YouTube as long as I've been budgeting with my husband, or as long as I've been actively looking to meet financial goals. So you can actually follow along the journey from beginning until now. So I created myself a budget planner and I was pretty much head over heels. Nothing was more exciting to me than this newfound love, this newfound way of budgeting. And we would go on to pay off all of our credit card debt. We would go on to pay off, a $17,000 car loan. We would go on to build and buy our first home. We would go on to join the FIRE movement, which is financial independence, retire early, which is the movement that we're on now. We would go on to almost be finished with paying off my husband's student loans. We would go on to achieve some great things. And I want to share with you guys now some tips on getting started. So fortunately now in 2022, there are so many budget planners. Like, budget planners actually exist. You could look at budget planner and you'll probably come across hundreds of them. There are so many. So there's a beauty in that, but it also could be a little overwhelming, I would say. So let me share with you guys a few tips for getting started with picking out the perfect budget planner. So there are 3 elements of a budget planner that I swear that everyone needs, especially when getting started. The first one is a monthly spread. This is a place where you can map out your paydays. You can map out any birthdays. You can map out bills, of course. You can map out all of those type of things that take place in any given month. Now, most of us are paid either weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, or even weekly, and most of us kind of tend to our finances on a monthly basis because typically our bills are due once a month usually. So that's kind of how most of us are doing things. So that monthly spread is super important, I would like to think. Next up, you're going to need a place to actually write out your monthly budget. So you're going to need a monthly budget sheet. That is where you would go to write in your income and then all of your expenses. You're going to need that. You're also going to need an expense tracker or a transaction tracker, an expense log, whatever you want to call it. You're going to need that. You're going to want that, especially when you're getting started, so you actually can write in and fill in all of your expenses. Because it's one thing to create a budget. It's another thing to stick to the budget. And the only way that you're really going to know if you're sticking to a budget, unless you're a mathematician, is to actually be able to write out or have a place where you can kind of fill in what you're spending, how much money you're actually spending, how much money you've spent, how much money you have left. You're going to need a place to track all of that. Otherwise, you might find yourself over budget. So if the budget planner doesn't have that, you might consider skipping it. But if you can't find a budget planner that you really like, if you don't even want to even go buy another one, just make your own. You can buy a binder, a folder, or something of the sort, and you can get online and you can print out everything that I just talked about. You can print out a monthly calendar. You can create your own expense tracker in Microsoft Word and print it out. You can create this whole planner, this whole binder system in Word. You can create savings trackers or debt payoff trackers. You can create all of it if you want to, but I'm just saying, if you're going to purchase one, those are some of the elements, the key elements that I think are important in getting started with budget planning. Next up, if you're a planner, if you're here, you're probably someone who checks in with your planner daily. Now, I'm actually at a place where I don't really check in with my planner daily. I kind of just do it as needed. Some days I don't plan anything because I don't feel like doing anything, so I don't plan anything, particularly on the weekends, but throughout the week, when I'm, throughout the work week, I typically have to plan out some stuff. But in the beginning, either way, you might still be a person who just checks in with your planner daily just anyway. Maybe your weekends are different from mine. Maybe every day you have things to plan. But in the beginning, when budget planning, I recommend checking in with your budget planner every single day. You can shoot for multiple times a day if that's going to help you, but at least once a day, is it important to fill out your, update your monthly calendar, to update your monthly budget, to fill in your expense tracker. I think it's going to be important to do that on a daily basis, especially in the beginning. My next tip is something that some people tend to hate on, which is to make your planner pretty. Whether you're making your own, whether you're buying a planner, add some stickers, add some washi tape. Now, haters out there are going to say that it's counterproductive to buy elements, stickers, and washi tape and whatnot to decorate a budget planner whenever the whole idea of budgeting is to get control of your finances. However, there is a discrepancy with what budgeting actually is and what people tend to think it is. To budget is literally just to have a plan for your money. Nothing more, nothing less. Large corporations have budgets. That's kind of how most corporations work. That's how most businesses operate. Without one, it will be a hot mess. And so similarly, without a budget plan in your home, your finances might be a hot mess. So some people will say it's counterproductive to decorate, to spend money to decorate, because they don't really know what it means to have a budget. Not everybody, for whatever reason, people tend to think that to have a budget means that people are trying to meet some huge, lofty financial goal. They're trying to save a bunch. They're trying to pay off debt. That's not the case. That's not everyone's aim in creating a budget. If you have money left over, of course, then sure, you can try to meet some type of goal. But some people are just having a budget so that they can know where their money is going instead of wondering where it's gone. So my tip is to decorate your budget planner. It's going to make it all the more exciting when you check on it every day, when you check in with it every day. It's going to make it all the more exciting to look at. It's just going to be a much better experience. So whether you're using a physical planner or even a digital planner, which is kind of like a new thing that some folks are exploring, decorate the planner. Basically what I'm trying to say is you don't have to decorate the planner, but if you want to, know that you can, and spending $5, $10 on stickers and washi tape every now and again, or even if you're spending more than that, it's not really that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. I'm here to, I'm a witness to that. Another tip that I have for budget planning is to create trackers. Like I mentioned earlier, savings trackers, debt payoff trackers, whatever type of progress track, whatever journey you're on, make progress trackers. That's another reason that might entice you to check in with the planner, but also it's just a way to kind of see not only where you're going, but really to see how far you've gone, not just to see how far you have left to go, but also to see how far you've gone and to be able to celebrate that. So if you are working towards meeting some financial goal, then definitely make some trackers, buy some trackers, incorporate some trackers, and just have that as a way to, like I said, just kind of check in with where you are and where you have left to go. And then my final tip for budget planning is to just have fun with it. Again, lots of people might disagree with it, but who really cares what other people have to say about the way that you organize your life or organize your finances? So whatever way you see fit, whatever way makes the most sense to you, definitely do that. So if you discover budget planning and it's something that you actually think is helpful, then why not? Why not? Have a whole separate budget planner and do your thing. So those are the tips that I want to share regarding getting started with budget planning. Obviously, I have a million tips for getting started with planning, or a million tips for getting started with budgeting. I have a whole channel that I've been actively uploading on for 5 years, where I have been sharing tips regarding everything that I just mentioned. So I have endless information to share on budgeting and planning, but today I wanted to talk specifically about getting started with budget planning. Because, believe it or not, budget planning and budgeting technically aren't the same thing. When I talk about budget planning, I'm talking about a budget planner. When I talk about budgeting, it's a whole other ball game. So that is it for today's video. Tomorrow and next up, we have Rochelle from Rochelle Plans. She is going to be sharing some tips for planning that you might need to get into, and I'm excited to see that video. Again, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and you have been enjoying the collab. If you did, give it a like, subscribe if you are liking what you're seeing, and I will catch you guys right back here in a few days in a brand new video. Bye guys.